Welcome back into another preview video as we take a look at the upcoming basketball season. And this particular video will center around the Sumner Fredericksburg Cougars on the boys' side of things. We have done a video on the girls. We've done a video on a number of other schools from around the area as well. If you've missed any of those, go check them out on my Twitter. Find me at Taylor from KWAY, that's Taylor from KWAY. You can also obviously find them on YouTube as well. Again, just taking a look at the upcoming season in basketball, what I think the teams around the area can do and what fans maybe should be expecting out of their teams. In this particular video takes a look at the Sumner Fredericksburg boys. And so let's do that. Last year for the Cougs, a bit of a tough season. To say the least. They finished just 3-19 on the year. The season would end on a 67-45 loss to Olwine. They scored 50 points a game, which is not bad. It really is not bad. You'll find a lot of other schools that didn't average 50 points, didn't get close to it, in fact. So that specific stat is not too terrible for Sumner Fredericksburg. A stat that is not great is the assist-to-turnover ratio, 229 assists to 385 turnovers. That's way more turnovers than you'd like to see, and that is a key for Sumner Fred. If they're going to do anything this year, they've got to bring that turnover number way down. They've got to protect the ball. As I've already mentioned, they can score it when they hang on to the ball, and so that's a key. Bring the turnovers down, and success will follow. They averaged 24.4 rebounds a game. They got most games they got housed on the glass. They got beat up on the glass pretty often, and so I think that's got to be an area that they address as well. Now, some of those things, it comes down to just physical build. Now, obviously, it's not just tall guy wins. That's not how rebounding works. Obviously, there's ways to combat it, like boxing out, simple one. Not that the Cougars didn't do it last year, but what I mean is, sometimes you're just going to be up against another team that's very athletic, more athletic than you, and maybe bigger. Obviously, it's going to be tougher to rebound against those teams, but you've got to do it. It's a huge part of this game, and so they've got to rebound better. They just do. 24.4 rebounds a game is not going to get it done for Sumner Fredericksburg. Now, they, as far as quarters go, scored way more in the fourth quarter, and what that tells me is they're down big at that point. The other teams put in their subs, and so when the Cougars put up the points or put up a good number of points, it often was against second teams for different schools. So and that's basically what that number tells me. I think if you are able to cut down on the turnovers, if you're able to take those rebounds up a little bit, you're going to be in a lot more games. And those numbers will even out a little bit for you. They got beat pretty badly a number of times last year. They averaged losing by 16 points a game over the course of the entire season. Take all the scores into effect. You average it out, and minus 16 points per game is what you come up with. So they got beat up quite a bit, and so there's lots of things to address on this Sumner Fredericksburg team. The good thing is the Cougars don't lose a whole lot from that team last year. Luke Niederhoff, probably the biggest name that they lose, a real senior leader for them last year. But, they do return their top 5 scorers from last year. That is a big-time key. Maybe the brightest spot is James Stimson. He's a kid. Really like watching this kid play. I tell you what, when I first saw him play as a freshman, he touched the ball, that shot was going up. Now, perhaps part of it is, that's what the coach told him to do. It's absolutely possible because he's got that talent. He probably was certainly one of the best players. They had a kid by the name of Trevor Werzer who was decent, and a couple of years ago who maybe would have liked the ball into his hands at that juncture. But as Stimson is a very good player as well. He may have been certainly one of the top 2 options to put the ball through the net. And so again, a couple of years ago when I saw him every time he touched the ball, he was chucking. Catching and chucking, catching and chucking, catching and chucking. And, it's nothing against him at all. It's just not going to be a route that makes you overly successful. Last year, he was much more willing to put the ball on the deck. He was much more willing to pass to a teammate, get it back sometimes, or just find open spaces for his teammate. And that's only going to help him go. 15.5 points a game last year. That number may go up this year. I've heard some incredible things about him in the offseason. He's gone to some camps and gone to some tournaments and things along those lines with, players from around the state, some of them with, players from around the country, and he's consistently been one of the best players that these sort of statewide guys who I happen to know, they tell me that he's been very, very impressive. And again, one of the top guys at a lot of these camps and in tournaments and what have you. So James Stimson is a guy that I'm very excited to get to see again because, he's an outstanding talent. He really is an outstanding talent. There's no doubt about it. Now, some of the players around him, Blaze Quigley, probably the next, I don't want to necessarily go down this route, but Blaze Quigley may be the next best player on the team. He's a guy that can handle it a little bit. He is a competitor, and I will say from time to time in the past, that's gotten the best of him a little bit. He's let his emotions get the best of him. And so if he can keep his emotions in check, if he can still be a little bit of a nagging bug for the other team, that would be ideal. He does have the ability to score the rock, 9.4 points a game. When he gets going, shooting the rock, he's tough. He's tough to stop. He can get to the rim. He's very good at getting to the free throw line as well. Stimson actually led the team in free throws attempted with 62. Quigley, was 26 of 40 from the free throw line last year. And Quigley also led the team in rebounds, 6.3 rebounds a game. He's not overly big. And the fact that he's pulling down 6.3, that's a good sign. You'd like for him to be right around there and then get some help from his teammates. That would be the best case scenario for Sumner Fredericksburg. And then another name to keep an ear out for is Kelby Olson. And you Sumner Fredericksburg fans who were around for football this fall will know that Kelby Olson is a very, very good athlete. Big-time athlete. And that's going to help them immensely. He's just a junior this year, was second on the team, 4.8 rebounds a game. I think his athleticism is going to allow him to get more rebounds. I think he's also a kid that can force a lot of steals. And I think Sumner Fredericksburg in the past have wanted to speed teams up, maybe get them going quicker than they wanted to, try to force some mistakes. I think they can still do that, but they do have to just keep in mind that they maybe are not the most talented team. But if they are in a situation where they want to force teams into making mistakes, Kelby Olson is certainly a guy that can make the other team create some mistakes. And then Blaze Quigley is another guy that can do that as well. And so those three would kind of be the big three that I've got pegged for Sumner Fredericksburg. And so the question becomes, who else is going to fit in along with those three? Spencer Schmitz, a big-time option. He could enter into a sort of a big four for Sumner Fred. He's a senior this year, averaged 8.1 points a game. I don't know that I would necessarily describe him as a basketball player. That's kind of my one thing with Spencer. I'm not sure that that's where I would go with him. He's undersized, and that's a common theme for Sumner Fred as well. They're very, very undersized. And so we'll see. Maybe they've got a younger kid that I don't know about that can give them a little bit of size. But of the guys that I know that I've seen, there's not much size. And that's going to be a big, big problem for the Cougars is, not only just the rebounding thing that we spoke about earlier, but, when you come in to a game against a team that's got a lot of size, how do you combat that? Again, there are ways to combat size, and the Cougars are just going to have to get very, very good at doing that, at combating the size of the other teams. And so we'll see how it goes. This is a team that's got some guys that can score the rock. And that should be a positive. That should be a positive for you Cougar fans listening in. You know that this is going to be a fun team to watch at the very least because they can score the rock. The question is, are they going to be able to stop anybody? And I think that really is the biggest question for Sumner Fredericksburg. Are you going to be able to stop the other team? That's kind of the overarching theme, I suppose, to this season for the Cougars. So where would I rate this team? A 1, of course, would be a team that I think is a title contender. A 2 is a team that's a state tournament contender. A 3 is a team that's just looking to win more games than lose. And then maybe if things fall right, they can go on a run in postseason. And a 4 would be a rebuilding team. I've got this Cougar team as a 4. I think they are rebuilding. I think they're a team. They didn't lose a ton off of last year's team, and I think that should be positive for the Cougars coming into the season. But they are a team that's not recently had much success, and they're just trying to still find their way. They've won 8 games over the course of the last 2 seasons, and I don't know that I see a huge improvement coming this year. I'd love to be wrong, but I just, the more and more I look at it, it feels like a 5, 6, 7 win team this year, which would be obviously better than 3-19, and you would take that as you know, a Sumner Fredericksburg fan, I suppose. I mean, you would have to, that improvement there. But this is not a team that I think is going to do a lot of damage. I just want to, if you are a Cougars fan, I just want to temper what you're going to experience this year just a little bit. Again, I hope I'm wrong, but from what I'm seeing, I don't see this team as having a ton of success. But that's how you build. That's how you build a winning team, and a school that produces winner after winner after winner after winners. You build slowly. You've got a team that wins 3, build it up to 7, 8 wins. Take the next one, get up into double figures, get over 500 the next year maybe. You build it slow, and I think we're just at the starting stages of that rebuilding process for Sumner Fredericksburg on the boys' side of things. So that's what to expect from the Cougars on the boys' side. Again, you can hear a number of their games on the K-Way airwaves this winter. Stay tuned to K-Way, and until next time, I am Taylor Nitz. Okay, bye.